What is up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Roster Chronicles, where we do a dynasty roster review on your team. We look at some of these stud players, the core players that we want to build around. We look at some of the trade pieces. We look at some of the team needs. We look at some of the trade targets, what to do with some of the picks. So we take a look at everything. We give you some advice and what to do in your current situation. How can we make our team better for the future? So before we get into this episode, guys, do me a favor there. Hit that like, hit that subscribe if you do play Dynasty Fantasy Football. But let's get right into the video. We've got Lacayo. I wasn't sure how to pronounce the first name, so I just put his last name on there. But all right, let's check out this one. This is the one QB. Okay, see, I didn't change the picks on the other one. That was my bad. This is the one QB, 12 teams, start 10. We've got one QB, two running backs, three receivers, three flexes in the tight end. He's got the 111 and 311, all of his 24s and 25. We've got Burrow and Fields. So he's got your boy Burrow, one QB. So Fields is just kind of there as backup. Saquon, K9, Swift, Stevenson, and Pacheco. DJ Dallas, Jackson, Strong, Harris, and Blackshear. Wide receivers, we've got Waddle, Olave, Juju, Boyd, Hamler, Davis, McKenzie, and Tolbert. Tight ends, we got Baby Gronk, Fryermuth, Henry, Smythe, and Bellinger. But yeah, what do you think initially about this team, one QB?
Yeah, it's solid. You got some good top-end talent. The depth is a little lacking at the wide receiver position, as you kind of alluded to earlier. So, yeah, but good top-end talent, though. Definitely build around core players. And I like when I see good build around core players that we'll get into, and then you could work around that. That's what I like to see. Good core players that you could build around.
We've got a couple of things here I put on the bottom. He lost in the ship because of the Bills and Bengals game. I guess, however, they decided your championship caused you to lose. That sucks. But you got there, which means you've got a pretty solid
You did
team.
something right. Yeah.
He says he feels he is weak at wide receiver, which definitely you are. And he says he wants to flip his first for 2024 to get Marvin Harrison Jr. Or he wants to do something to get I don't think you can get Marvin Harrison Jr. with the team that you have here unless you sell everybody for absolutely jack. And then that's going to mean you're going to have Marvin Harrison and the rest of your team is going to suck. So it's not worth it to go and do that. In any case, you'd have to find one of the worst teams and try and get their first round pick. If that's what you mean, maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe that's what you mean. You definitely have some assets to try and do that. But yeah. What are some of the studs? What's some of the core guys, Hammer, that we are not messing with, that we're holding on to?
Oh, you said it from the rip. My boy Joe Burrow. That guy's awesome. I love when I see Joe Burrow on people's dynasty teams. Yeah, so you're looking at Joe Burrow, obviously. Waddle, obviously. I think you could throw Olave in there as well. I know there's some uncertainty in New Orleans with that quarterback situation, but I think Olave is still a keeper unless somebody just blows you away. I think that's really it. I like Kenneth Walker. I do, but I don't think any running back is untradeable. So you're really looking at Burrow and Waddle, and then, you could throw Fryermuth in there. I know that's your boy.
And then tight end position where, it's 12 team. At least you've got like a top 6 tight end. I mean, it gives you the advantage, where you can kind of just be fine with him, leave him there, and you have almost an advantage, at least in that position for the most part, over, half of the other teams in the league, at least. So,
yeah, so Burrow, Waddle, and then, like I said, you could kind of slide Olave in there unless somebody blows you away.
But,
running backs are really good, though.
Fryermuth is good enough where you could try and tier up, if you wanted. So I wouldn't say, I wouldn't trade him, but he is a guy that you can kind of just build around and just leave him there. And at least you don't have to worry about that position. You're plugging him in and playing him every single week, and you're going to get, solid production. So, yeah, I agree. Burrow, Waddle. I don't think I'm going to give up Olave, so I'll keep Olave. I think Waddle and Olave, I'll both hold on to those guys. I'd probably want to keep K9, but I'm okay with getting rid of them. So, yeah, I guess I'd say Burrow, Waddle, and Olave would be kind of the 3 guys that I'm I'm going to build around here. We've got, what are some of the team needs, Hammer? What do we need on this team? I mean,
exactly what he said. He knows what he needs. He needs
yep.
depth at wide recirver. So
Don't forget, there's 3 flexes. So there's possibility of you starting 6 wide receivers in this particular format.
Yeah,
so,
that's crazy.
the wide receivers are definitely going to give you the advantage. Now, the good thing about your current situation is that, like,
you got running backs to fill
you
those
can trade
flexes in.
Yeah, you can.
Or he
You
did.
got the running backs to fill the flexes, but you can also trade these running backs at at the value that they do have right now, and just transfer that value onto the wide receiver position, where it's going to last you a lot longer and give you advantage, at least in those other flex spots as well. So you need to fix wide receiver. Then we probably got to get rid of. Well, we do have to get rid of some of these running backs here in order to fix that. And we do have the 111 as well. So who we trading, Hammer? What's the trade
Yeah,
pieces? What's some trade pieces
really,
we're looking at, and let's give them some targets.
any of those first list running backs, right? Because they're number one, they have the name, which is good, obviously, but then they have the production to back it up. Saquon had a really good year. I know he tailed off towards the end a little bit. Kenneth Walker had a hell of a year. DeAndre Swift oft injured, but he sort of steadied the ship. Stevenson and Pacheco. So really any one or two or three of those guys. I know you probably say all 5 got to go because that's just how you are.
Well, I
But
mean, it just depends what obviously it depends what you're getting in return. Like if you're stacking up all 6 of the 3 wide receivers and 3 flex positions, and you've got to give up all your running backs, like I'm fine with that. You'll find some running backs during the season that can hold you down at least, but you're going to dominate at least in those other 6 positions. So I mean, and then
I
you got
think
Burrow and Frymouth on top of that. So it depends how you want to slice it. But
I think
just
the
go ahead.
one running back I don't think I'm going to trade is Kenneth Walker. I think that's
Yeah,
the
that's what
one
I was
guy I
saying.
kind of want to hold
Yeah.
on to, like you were saying. Just because I know I could plug him in Seattle. Pete Carroll loves to run the football. So I think I'm going to keep Kenneth.
Getting 20
That's what I'm
touches
saying.
easy. So
That's what I'm saying. So I think I'm keeping Kenneth Walker, just so at least I have some stability at the position, and then you can figure out the rest. So Saquon, I would trade DeAndre Swift, Stevenson, and then obviously Pacheco
extra getting,
as well.
JJ Chase or CD or AJ for K9, then but yeah, I think we've got to. I think with Saquon, I think the perfect time to get rid of Saquon to try and go after any of those guys that I just mentioned there. St. Brown, you got Waddle, even the T Higgins. Is Garrett Wilson available for
I was going to mention Garrett Wilson.
any of these guys also? Really any of these guys, all of those guys you can try and get. So you've got Saquon, which he has high value right now. What's it going to take to go get, AJ Brown, CD Lamb? What's it going to take to get Amon-Ra or Waddle or T Higgins or,
he has Waddle.
Wilson? Oh, he does have what? He does have Waddle. Yeah. What's it going to take to get any of those other guys? Like, Swift, Stevenson, Pacheco. I mean, Stevenson and Pacheco at least have good value right now. Where take advantage. Can you give up both of them and get one of those stud guys? Or one of those fringe guys like we mentioned. Judy, the DKs, the Devontas. You could look at some of those guys as well. London, anybody you can try and get for any of these running backs. Like that's really what we have to do. So I think the better way to put it is go and look at every single team in the league.
Who needs running backs?
Yep. Who needs running backs? What wide receivers do they have, and how can I get that wide receiver? And you want to go get the stud as youngest as possible, and as you want to try and get the studs and work your way down. You're never going to know who you can get unless you ask. And you've got the assets to do it. You've got Saquon, you've got K9, you got Swift, you got Stevenson, you got Pacheco. So you've got some good pieces to work with. You got the 111 as well. Do you have to give up one of the running backs in the 111? Can you give up Stevenson in the 111? Can you give up any of those guys you can add, with the 111 too?
You're doing Saquon in the 111 for a CD Lamb?
Yeah, I do that.
Then that gives you CD, that gives you Waddle and Olave. So now you're set at least at the 3 wide receiver positions. Still got K9, Swift, Stevenson, and Pacheco. So you're still,
Yeah.
you know, you're still okay there.
I
You
think
got Justin Fields as well. So, you know, can you, I know it's a 1 QB league, but can you leverage Justin Fields and maybe the 111 and go and get, you know, a top wide receiver? I don't know how people are going to value, you know, Justin Fields in your league, depending on what quarterbacks people have. But if someone in desperate need of a QB, like that's the perfect spot to go where it doesn't really cost you anything almost. So,
right, and I think from this perspective, what you said was kind of right on the money. Look for the team, especially since you have a surplus of running backs and you have basically 2 startable QBs in a 12-team league. Justin Fields is a startable quarterback, QB1 in a 12-team league. Go out and see if somebody maybe had an Aaron Rodgers, maybe had a Russell Wilson, maybe had a Tom Brady, maybe has Kyler Murray who's injured, maybe has a Deshaun Watson that they're not sure about. Target those teams and say, hey, listen, I'll give you Justin Fields and I'll take, like you said, I'll even take back a Jerry Jeudy and maybe another piece and maybe another back end one or something like that. You know what I mean? So I think that's really critical in terms of getting the most value, is targeting the team that needs what you have, running backs and obviously a QB. I just ripped off 5 different quarterbacks that people probably had on their opening day rosters last season that are either A, retired in Tom Brady's case, or B, were unproductive in Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray's hurt. And then you can make your move.
Yeah, I think London is a guy that I kind of want to target where he's just going to be probably cheaper than usual. And it all depends on the league because, I mean, shit, I'm in a couple leagues where I'm trying to get Drake London and it's fucking nearly impossible. It's costing me a mid-first round pick on top of, you know, a George Pickens, on top of, you know, other good guys. So it's rough. It all depends on how people value him. There's some people that don't value London. Groups on Facebook where you know, it really just depends. But those are some of the guys that we'll be looking to try and get and, you know, move off of some of those running backs. Just try and, you know, try and transfer the value that you have in those running backs right now, transfer that over to that wide receiver position because it's going to last you longer. It's more of a concrete thing where, you know, they're going to increase in value instead of decrease in value. So I think
you have the long-term stability.
Yeah, so I think you have the assets at running back to, you know, transfer that over to wide receiver and still not like miss a beat, like, you know, still be in that ship running. So I think that's what I would want to do, because once you do that, then at that point now, you know, then all you're gonna need is running backs afterwards, and you'll be dominating those other positions, and you got time for that, and you'll still be competing. So that's like the beautiful thing where you got Burrow, you got Baby Gronk, and let's just say you wound up finding, you know, 4 or 5, hopefully 6, like, you know, beast wide receivers, or at least wide receiver 1s, wide receiver 2s, where you're just running through people, you know, and the running backs almost don't even matter because of the points you're putting up in those other positions. So then, yeah, man, you've got some good options. You're in good shape. Just transfer over some of those running backs, see what you can get at wide receiver. I think that's the main thing that we're looking at to do here. Use Justin
and
Fields,
target,
trade as well. So
target those teams that need what you have. That'll get you the most value for what you're looking for this particular team.
Wraps it up for this episode of the Roster Chronicles. Guys, let me know what you think down there in the comments. If you have any other suggestions for this particular team, pop them down there in the comments. Do me a favor there, hit that like, hit that subscribe. If you do play Dynasty Fantasy Football, if you would like a Dynasty roster team review, check down there in the description. Hit us up on our email at dynastylifeforever@gmail.com. Send us your roster. Make sure you send us the format, any other information that we're going to need to properly review your team so you can get on the next episode. But again, thanks for tuning in, guys.